Hey, what up? Here with Chuck,
Yo!
man with the dreamy eyes from UBrew in Traverse City. Getting ready to brew my second beer, which is the all grain. So I'm learning how to do that today. So what we're doing is, and you can help me along and explain it better than I can, we are brewing an imperial milk stout that I decided for some stupid reason, actually it was my brother's idea, to add a peanut butter crunch to it.
Why
Call it
not?
Smitty's Nut Tap.
It's going to be something else. Out of this world.
Okay, so we have the recipe right here.
We do.
My recipe. So we're looking at, you can explain this better, 13 pounds of pale malt 2-row, pound and a half of barley, flaked barley, 12 ounces of black barley, and then chocolate malt, got 12 ounces of that. So the flaked barley, explain that again, because we're not putting that in, we're milling that.
Now, the flaked barley we're not milling.
We're not milling.
The other stuff we're going to mill. Flaked barley is essentially your standard, it's like Quaker Oats, only out of barley. They've steamed it and rolled it flat, and it adds mouthfeel and a nice roasty flavor. Not roasty, but kind of just a lot of mouthfeel and like an oatmeal taste, sort of.
Okay. I'm learning a little bit as we go. I'm actually soaking some of this shit in, so let's get brewing. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're milling this.
Introducing Christy, the Monster Mill. My creation.
Okay.
So
You're a fucking scientist.
I didn't build this. I just built the box. But we got a bucket in there. Gotta check that. Close that up. Push the button to turn it on. This is gonna mill it down to. I've got it set at 30 thousandths of an inch. So it's gonna crush the grain without breaking the husks into too many small pieces. If we were to grind up all the husks, you're gonna get a husky flavor in your beer, and it's not good. Let her fly, baby. So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking this is going to be tasty. I don't know how much of a great idea this is, but it can't be that bad.
We're gonna do it.
Milling.
Compliments of Christy. Now if you look, it's milled to a nice, there's lots of little, not whole powdery, but small enough, there's small particles, and yet you can still see the husk has really not been broken too bad.
Yeah.
So that's gonna work out really good for us. Secret ingredient. Yeah. Right around where we want to be.
172 or so.
And our piece of paper there said 174, correct? So what we're trying to do now is we're trying to game the system a little bit so that we end up right at the temperature we want to end up at.
Yeah.
There. Because I'll be able to, some water will be able to go in that.
Just making a fucking mess.
Oh yeah. Clean that today. Make sure you get to the bottom and try to get it all kind of mixed in. Because this grain will start soaking up this water. So mix it here. This is so homebrew.
I love that you're giving me a chance to make mistakes just in case.
Well, I think that no matter what happens, you're still going to have a drinkable beer.
It is topped off, man.
Get it stirred up really good and thoroughly. And I'm going to grab my thermometer so we can check temperature on it and see how good we did. So grab the thermometer right there, turn it on, and let's check and see how we did with the temperature. We're going with it. So we'll put this lid on it, and I'm going to use the one with the hole in it. Look at that. Now we're mashing in. So we're going to mash for an hour.
Okay.
What this is doing is all the enzymes in the grains and on the husk of the grain are now breaking these long chain carbohydrates into short ones. Once they're into shorter carbohydrates, that's when the yeast can actually eat them. If you leave it, if you just put malt in with yeast, you're not going to get a whole lot happening because yeast can't chew through those complex carbohydrates. It's also, getting proteins out. It's everything that you want, flavor-wise, and mouthfeel of your beer is now happening in there.
Okay.
When we get to an hour, we're gonna get more water, we're gonna heat it up, and we're gonna do what's called a sparge. And that's where we draw off of this, and then we rinse the top with hot 168-degree water, and that just rinses all those sugars off, and we'll put it into the brew kettle.
Okay.
So we will heat water into that sucker at 168, and we will just sparge until we have the quantity that we want. Probably about, if you look at the papers, it says sparge with about 5.45 gallons. I don't think we'll need that much to get the quantity we want. I think it'll be only about 5, but we'll just fill it up and go from there.
Okay.
All right.
See you in an hour.
1 hour.
We're starting our sparge now. Later than expected because Chuck was talking to his girlfriend. So we have the hot water up here. We got to like 170, 168. Yep. So that's going to run through the sparge, the mash that we already did before, and that's going to go into there to heat up to boil.
Yep, essentially it's going to rinse the grain. We're going to start taking the sugar water, the sweet water off the bottom here, and then rinse the top of the grain with fresh water.
How is that for a flow? It's a very drippy.
We can turn that up a little bit. And then try to match that flow.
It looks about the same. You'd have to look at it and tell me.
Yeah. And we just keep an eye on this, because what'll happen if this runs too fast?
Then it
overflows, right?
Yeah.
If it runs too slow, then your grain bed will dry out. But
okay.
We should probably take a look inside here so you guys can see kind of what we got going on here. We're just draining the water into this little cup so it doesn't drill a hole.
And that's basically washing all of your extract sugars
correct
out and rinsing all of that mash
yep.
out of sugars and putting
it's
it
all
into
going into here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be about 45 minutes, you say?
Yeah, 30 minutes to 40 minutes. That's what I like to typically do my my sparge stuff at.
Okay.
Once this gets filled up to about 2 gallons, we'll kick the heat on. So when we are done with the sparge, this is going to be almost ready to boil, and that saves a bunch of time too.
Did you get chunkies?
No. It's not flowing very fast. Got it. That was fun.
Ah, fuck.
Let's turn that off. Come on, just start flowing, dude.
You and my bright fucking ideas.
And then you just get. Should still come out though. You get a pressure at the bottom equals the pressure above it, and then nothing comes out.
It's got to bust loose at some point.
No. I'm gonna call this fucking peanut butter fuck stick. That should be fucking flowing, and it's not.
System.
I just absconded with a brand new mash tun, because I've always had problems with this one. Never again. UBrew just bought this one.
Come on for it.
All right, ready? We're gonna pour this in here. This
The whole thing, huh?
The whole thing. We're gonna pour it in here. We're gonna.
Do you want to unhook this hose?
Yep. We're gonna pour it all in here. We're going to redo the Vorloff. We're gonna bring it over and start pouring it in.
Okay. This is not ideal. That was messy.
That was messy. All right, starting again. Vorloff. I love home brewing.
We can just call this my fault. This whole thing.
No.
All right, so what are we doing?
Now we're gonna start the Vorloff again.
Now Chuck, because it was clogged, Chuck was sucking on it like you would siphon gas to try to get it unclogged, and it doesn't matter because it has to boil, and so it doesn't need to be sanitized. But how you said it tasted good?
It did taste good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should try some.
I will in a moment. Now, how is that going to deal with as far as that temperature of the water going down? Does it matter?
Yeah. Use this one.
We're clogged again, buddy.
Is it?
Yeah.
How bad? So this cereal that we added in there, that makes it.
It does taste good. It's just super thick, right?
Well, yeah, and it's the sugars from that cereal and the cereal itself is making it so thick.
Next time, don't put it in the mash.
Or use some rice hulls, because this mash is so thick. That cereal is just clogging up all the pores of the plate. Alright, so we learned something. Next time you brew this beer, copious amounts of rice hulls. I'm glad that you're seeing this, because this is a stuck sparge, right? Yeah. So if you stick this down there, you can kind of feel all gummy down there at the bottom. But the proteins and whatever was in the cereal is just gumming everything up at the bottom and nothing's getting through.
Yeah.
One thing we have to fix that or help that is rice hulls. All they are is just the husk from rice. They don't add any flavor. But what they do is they will help keep your sparge flowing, or keep your this flowing for the whole time instead of having a stuck sparge. So we will make note on this recipe. I mean, it's so thick down there that the minute I slice them off, it still goes in there and clogs it right up.
It does taste good though. So I'm gonna blake when this is done.
I'll be back before that hits 7 gallons.
Okay.
At this rate, but whatever you do, just don't let it boil until we're ready.
Okay.
So if it gets close to it, just turn it off.
What's that boiling temp?
212.
212. Okay. Chuck had to leave for a second, and this thing is flowing so slowly because I chose a dumb fucking beer recipe. So let's take a tour at UBrew and check it out. Coffee for peeps. Hops and yeasts, equipment, grains, barley, oats, wheat, corn, I used this today, and this today, I want to say. Sure, we'll go with that. And then this today.
Oh yeah?
Okay, so I'm just adding this now, right?
Figure it out by then.
Okay. Nice meeting you, man.
You too. Okay, so the boil just started. We just added our hops. And what was you just add? Because what happens when you start to boil, especially when you add the hops, there's a chance of boil over.
Yep,
Huge chance of boil
it'll
over.
bubble out, and go everywhere, and make a huge mess. So we added what's called Clarity Firm, which just no, Firm Cap, sorry, and it gets rid of the foaminess of it.
So what do the rice hulls do?
The rice hulls will actually add a filter, an extra stuff without adding flavor to the mash to allow what we had. It was a stuck sparge.
Yeah.
It will help alleviate that gumminess, especially for necessary when you're doing like wheat beers. Anything that has a large gelatiny substrate when it's stuff soaked in water, like wheat.
So does that affect the flavor at all?
No.
No.
No. That's the nice thing about rice hulls. No flavor addition.
Ooh, look at that boil. Now adding the 30-minute Chinook hops. "30 minutes left in the boil." Okay, so now we're at the 10-minute mark of the boil. Chuck is taking video. So what? In like 30 seconds, we're adding Irish moss. Now that was something I'd not heard of until today. Irish moss is gonna clarify the beer, make it less cloudy, right?
Correct. What it does is it actually helps the proteins solidify more in the boil here. Put in the last 10 minutes, Irish moss is essentially seared. literally is dried out seaweed.
Yeah.
The proteins will start to coagulate, settle to the bottom, and they won't even make it into the fermenter, which
Okay.
is perfect.
Okay. So we're gonna do that first. We can do that now.
Yep. There she goes.
It says there's some stuck on. Let's rinse it off.
Ta-da!
So this is the lactose that's gonna help our milkiness for the milk stout.
Make sure you're stirring when you put that in real good, because it will stick to the bottom and burn. Lactose is essentially non-fermentable sugar, and it will add a real thickness to the beer.
Yeah. The milkiness, obviously. So then this is the just the regular white sugar that I had to run to Aldi's to get. And you said this is actually like super fermentable sugar.
Sure, that's 100% fermentable, and this is the same thing. Don't let it stick to the bottom, because it will stick. And this is just essentially to make his beer much more potent, if I may.
Well, we were looking at close to 11% on this thing.
Yep.
So-
this is going to be a sit you on your butt. Don't drive home after you have 2 sips of it.
It should be good there. All right, 10 minutes left in the boil. Okay, what's gonna happen? We got like 2 minutes left in this boil, 3 minutes left in this boil. We put a coil in. It's gonna cool the wort, and we'll put it in there to sanitize it.
Yep.
So-
We'll run the cold water right through it and cool it down to as close to 70 degrees as we can get it. We'd really ideally like to be right around 64 for pitching temperatures, typically in this kind of beer. We're gonna just go through can. Grab a spoon or that mash paddle. I'm gonna lift this out. Just get it going.
All right, so stir it until we get a good whirlpool going.
We're just gonna let that kind of do its thing. And once it settles down, we'll reinsert this back in there.
Okay.
Kind of always just make sure that I don't set it on a surface that's possibly contaminated while we're doing this.
Yeah. Sanitizing is key.
Cleanliness is godliness, and godliness is beerliness, and beerliness is tastiness.
Lovely.
What this does is, if you look even at the top, see how it's all kind of spinning into the
Why is
middle?
there peanut butter Captain Crunch and sugar out here?
Is that going
in the
It,
beer?
did go
It
in
did go
there.
So I'd say, all right, let's start chilling it.
Okay.
Because we don't really need
Just cold water ready to go.
cold water. Just want to put this over here though. So we're getting down to our temperature now. Right, this part of the kettle right now is almost at 90. The stratification is incredibly apparent. Down here, we're probably in the mid 60s where we pick up right near the bottom. So we're going to start drawing off at a nice slow rate to fill the fermenter, and then as this hot wort will kind of drain down over the cooler, which we've got in here, and cool it down. We want to get about 65 degrees we're shooting for with this particular beer. It's very yeast dependent on how you want to temperature it.
No, wait a minute. No, come back here. This is a very tool time, home improvement,
It
tool
is.
time, Tim Taylor moment. He's fucking Tim Allen and I was Al. I was just going. Yeah. Keep going.
Whatever you say, Chuck.
Yep. That's right, Chuck. All right.
No, it's not, Chuck. All right. Well, we entertain ourselves.
Yeah.
We're going to get to doing this. So,
Okay.
one important
Always
thing to remember.
sanitize.
One thing, most importantly, sanitize. Once you cool this below 170 degrees, you can infect it with whatever bugs are around. So it's very important that everything post-boil is sanitized to the nth degree. So we sanitize this, everything is sanitized. Before we put this on, I'm going to spray this, even though it's had heat around it. The fermenter here that he's got, his own very first fermenter, by the way.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But no, he didn't have a cap, so I was forced to buy one. So that's cool.
You don't own one anyways. So I would say
Very slowly.
very slowly, and just very slowly start beating in there. Perfect. You're up.
I was like, did he go to the bathroom? Yep. Fucking.
Bill walked in and he was like, moving the camera,
So
dude.
happy that didn't happen. Like, what the
I just
fuck?
thought when you were gonna find it later in editing, you're like, yeah, big block.
Getting posted on his fucking UBrew's Facebook page. That's what Chuck does when nobody's around. It's fucking UBrew.
That would be bad. Thing is though, motherfucker's gonna be a 10.5%er that gets you drunk.
And it's gonna be fairly fucking tasty. I feel like.
I feel like it's gonna be fairly good.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get the peanut butter unless we add peanut butter to it, but you wanna call it?
Oh. And there is our fermentable beer. Okay, so now you say we're gonna oxygenate it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I needed a stopper. You said pick one. I said you pick one. You fucking teaching me this stuff.
That's the stopper.
Okay. And what is that for?
Well, it just plugs the hole.
All right.
That's it. So here's your new airlock. So we take
Snazzy.
stopper, airlock.
Sanitize always.
Always sanitized. And we're gonna actually fill this partially full. And then the stopper. And then the lid. So the stopper goes there. This is about half full of sanitizer. This is your bubbler. Cap on that sucker. She goes there. But now to oxygenate it, you gotta shake.
Oh, you know. Okay. Did you put yeast in already, or is that going in?
No,
after?
we've done that. We'll do that afterwards. First,
Okay.
we're gonna oxygenate it.
All right. I'll shake.
Okay. Shake. So I would,
It has to be
yeah,
tight?
it has to be tight, unless you want to splash on yourself. And in all honesty, I would take the airlock out of there, leave the stopper, and just stick your finger over the little hole there. And I like to just sit on the ground and just freaking slosh around as good as I can. Stick your finger over that little hole, get a little shootout. You want to see more air bubbles, more sloshy. Okay. So then now, just pull off the airlock, or pull off the stopper totally. Yeah, just let some air go in there, and then do it again. Because it's tough to get enough oxygen in a beer doing it this way, especially a big beer. If we don't get enough oxygen into this beer, it won't ferment out very well. Okay, let a little bit more air in it.
One more time.
Yep,
Good for good measure.
yep. Yeah.
What do you think?
So let's go.
Okay.
So we need some yeast. So what you using today?
Dry English Ale yeast, WLP007.
Compliments of White Labs.
Thanks, White Labs.
Shake them up real good. And then we need scissors.
What do you mean shake them up? They're very, it's very thick. I can do this, man. All day, left-handed.
So we're finding some scissors. We're gonna find some scissors, and then we are going to Sanitize those scissors.
I like sanitizing.
I feel like you need pom-poms too.
Somebody's screenshotting this shit and turning it into a meme.
Right?
What's happening?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
So we're sanitizing this. We're sanitizing the scissors.
That's my professional shaking. We ready? Go ahead and put them in.
Go for it.
Yeasty. Okay.
Yep. Tighten that sucker up. Just be that tight.
Fermentation is starting. Right? So we'll see you in like 5-6 days.
We're gonna have a podcast with this beer. What'd you name it again?
Smitty's Nut Tap.
You guys are gonna have it? He'll have it? Yeah.
They're not going to have anything. I'm going to have it. You'll have it.
I'm gonna have it.
Yeah. My
They
brother
might have
might
some.
have it.
People might have some.
Others. Yeah, somebody might have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gnarly. See you then.
Yep.